Hi, so let's talk about something new. This is the fourth lecture in the series regarding telemedicine. We have talked in the previous three lectures, starting with how to take history, to mapping the body, to mapping physiological functions of the body. Now, when this is done, you know that your diagnosis is ready, you know what problem you are going to face, and you then need a strategy how to work on it. Your prescription is precisely the same strategy. It discloses what you intend to do, how you want to achieve it, and what is the best that you can achieve with it. What happens? We talked of the two-pronged strategy in the last lecture. In case of Ayurveda, you have this option of either increasing or decreasing and choosing which option you want to go ahead with depending on various situations. But Ayurveda more or less is more integral. It talks of dietary management, it talks of a daily routine including exercises, it talks of medicines, and it also talks of certain aversions that may be necessary according to the condition. Now this in general has been practiced as a whole by a single person. Modern specialty clinics today practice the same, they do the same, just that they combine this in a more packaged, more ornamental, to say more specialized function, where you have a doctor prescribing, you have a nutritionist or a dietitian, you have a physiotherapist, and this amalgamation becomes a kind of a team. The idea behind this is very simple, that the person who goes through this routine is able to understand why, what, when, where. In case of Ayurveda, since this is not generally practiced, and if you have to practice the Ayurvedic way, technically there is no certification in Ayurvedic dietetics or nutrition, there is no certification specifically for Ayurvedic nursing, there is no specifically certification for Ayurvedic physiotherapy as such, there is an alternate of yoga, but these combinations are used very scattered, and usually they have been presented more in an ornamental way, more cosmetic way than actually the treatment way. If given the treatment way, it is actually not being accepted by people for more than practical reasons. They are rather driven by psyches through religious gurus and religious proponents. Somewhere today, Ayurveda does need to come out of this idea of a religious association. That is one of the sides of it. However, sticking to the medical part, your prescription, when you write, it should from top to bottom actually look like the top medicine will address your problem, and anything coming down becomes or starts becoming secondary, and it should reflect an order in which they can be taken off over a period of time. So when your patient is revisiting or you're just revising your notes, you know what has been taken care of and what not. This is to say that the patient's secondary symptoms generally hold primary, because those are his concerns as he looks at. And as in those concerns start diminishing, the medicines from the bottom of the layer should start going out. Once that starts happening, you can kind of tell your patient which medicine was more important, which medicine was less important, why a certain medicine was given for a certain length of time, and why a certain was withdrawn. This also needs to complement the idea that your choices of medicines could be minimal, and they could be augmented by the use of yoga, meditation, food, planning, or if it is really consistent, it could be the other way, that basically you are advising, say, yoga or meditation and food, and medicine is just functioning as a support. Together, these three things, yoga, food and medicines, follow or present with 7 different options. 3 themselves being alone, either yoga, either meditation, either food, either medicines, maybe combinations, medicines of yoga, medicines and food, food and yoga, and if it's a very, very acute and severe condition, maybe all 3 of them together. When you look at prescription and when you start addressing these issues, you have to remember that a patient has to comply with it. And this depends on 4 or 5 factors: his geography, his age group, his socio-economic class, and his affordability. This apart, there's also an element of mental health. So, climate and geography, well, something that is available in one part of the world may not be available in the other part. So you need to have your choices. Prefer to provide such things which are easily accessible, not costly to the pocket of the patient. He should find it comfortable so that he can use it over a period of time. Then you talk of exercises. Try to make exercise routines simple. Use yoga and meditation techniques that are simple, unless the person is trained for it, because otherwise it is too difficult for the person to actually practice it. The third element, medicines. Again, you have to understand the socio-economic class of the person. You cannot always prescribe certain medicines which maybe a person cannot afford, or you just cannot end up as prescribing something which for some social reason, for some other reason, maybe it's an over-riches reason, the patient thinks that you just prescribed something for too less, and will it work or will it not? So you need to balance this and win over the confidence of the patient. Then there's an element that talks of mental health. The surroundings in which the person is, his community, his society, his office space or school, that matters a lot. The way they coerce with the patient. Now, you cannot go out and educate everybody there, but you can educate your patient how to handle the situation, the scenario. That is another important aspect. The fifth aspect, the affordability of the patient himself, is something you really cannot judge, but if you are prescribing something that may be costly, it is always a polite thing to say, I'm sorry, but I'm writing something which is costly, and to my understanding it is necessary. What happens is your patient understands, so he can either just come out and say, or maybe in his next visit he expresses that it did help but it is too costly if there is an alternative. And you must be prepared to accept the logic. You must be prepared to accept that your customers, your patients' needs are the primary ones, not your pen. You cannot be commanding. This profession, medical practice, is all about service, and service is not at the end of command. Unfortunately, today what we see in medical practice largely is absence of the service element. One way or the other, either it's the paramedic or the support staff or the doctor himself, they are not considerate. They tend to become assertive, they tend to become demanding, and they lose that friendliness which needs to be an essential part of his practice. This attitude, this understanding that you can have of your patient's needs is by itself a part of your prescription. So, behavior, prescription behavior, that is why it's not all about writing, but also about the way you practice the way you come across to your patient, the way you explain his problems. It is always wise to tell him what his problem is, how you're going to handle it, get him his doubts cleared so that he's able to adhere to what he's trying to do and what you are trying to do, and let there be a coherence between the two. There could be a gap which may be filled, which may never be filled, but still it is always there in a positive sense that the patient retains the confidence that you have shared and told what can be done and what cannot be done. Thank you.